So, the topic I picked for this talk, my blue minds. And I feel like not everybody's talking about this, so I hope you might be able to kind of learn and realize for yourself some of the things I'm about to share. So, what is energy shift? First of all, according to spiritual New Age, is this term even on a dictionary? I don't think so, but it is already on the vocabulary of people who understand these things and these topics and are kind of like beginning to believe in things they can't see, touch, smell, yet they can feel. And feeling itself should be enough for them to make their own conclusions as we live in an incredible, magical universe where pretty much we go on from one plane to another plane, learn from one thing to the next thing, and yet haven't found exactly what we're after. So what is it that you're after? Obviously, you're always after more of something, right? Maybe you want more peace of mind, you want more money, you want more sex, you want more love, you want more power. And if you don't have any of these things, you're on your way to get there, because that's what your mind is being programmed to do. It's either programmed to help you stay safe and survive, or to accomplish things that will ultimately bring you more power, more money, more love. And energy shift is a very interesting concept because we've been experiencing that for so long, and just now we are starting to recognize that there is an energy shift all the time. You might be in your head and you're moving tasks and you're doing like one thing, and then suddenly you see yourself doing something else. Or those people who have like ADD, they seem like they're unable to focus because they're always switching channels, like from one thing to the next. And the question is whether this is a brain dysfunction problem, or if that is something that is just out of control of their own true self, because their own true self haven't been able to, maybe the true self hasn't been able to like stay connected to the real thing. So that thing, and it's yet on a searching mode. And being on a searching mode is basically when you allow you be switch it on to different channels, and you start doing things that are resonating to that channel, till you realize that this is not the right channel, and you move to the next thing. And that's like literally what the monkey mind do, right? The monkey mind, when you were like jumping from one task to the next, is almost like as if you were like in that sort of activity, like sort of function, like switching on and off, and you're actually not getting anything done. But you know, sometimes you're not getting anything done, but you are basically learning, you're exploring, and you are heading to a place that will ultimately make you feel like that's exactly what you're meant to be, you know? And I feel like this is also what our hearts is usually after all the time. So the mind is programmed, designed to go after those things, like I mentioned, power, more money, more sex, more love. And the heart, like the self, is trying to find where it truly belongs, trying to find that place of like, I can be here and now, and I don't need to be a slave of external forces that continue to move me to one place to the next, because this is what they call home. And once you experience home, it's hard to really want to be anywhere else but home. Like, you probably heard like all those different songs that talks about home is where your heart is. right? When you find your heart, when you find that treasure, you want to take care of this place, and you want to nurture it. You want to stay there forever, because there's nowhere else that you feel like more connected, more like home, right? Like there's no place like home. just like as a phrase, you've heard of it before. But getting back to the main topic here, energy shift. You might experience that, or you might be realizing that this is happening outside. Like maybe you are on this flow of thought, right? You want to express yourself, and you know exactly what you want to do, and all of a sudden they switch you to another place, and you start talking about something else, or something that is not really related to the main topic. And some of the psychologists or like neuroscientists might say, oh, you're talking about like focusing, right? Because like you want to be focused. I mean, of course, all the psychological things we explain, in order to, we use those terms and explanations in order to explain the unseen, because we can't really grasp that. But when you start to realize that everything happens inwards, and instead of being outside out, it's inside out, then everything changes. But what's the energy shift, right? I can give you a basic example. You are at a place where you begin to be the center of all places. Maybe basically you are the main point of attention there, the main point of attraction, which means you can be at your safe place and everyone else is like changing, doing its own thing in order to resonate to you, because you are the main you're the lighthouse. So the lighthouse stays there, steady, centered, and everyone else just like adapts to it, right? And on the other hands, sometimes you are just doing something to serve somebody else who is the lighthouse. And I'm sure you've been in both places, like in master/server. And it's hard to admit that, when one person is in the master side, the other one is in the server side. It's kind of like, damn, how do we do this? Like, I really feel good to be around you. But if I have to be in my server side around you, I feel like I'm not connected to my center. Therefore, it feels like I shouldn't be really here. I feel maybe like I should be somewhere else. Like where? Right? But when I'm home and I see that you can't be at a place of server for me because you feel disconnected from your center and you feel like you're having to be something else just to accommodate that, I shouldn't be happy about you, right? But I mean, you can't really change the universal laws, and according to everyone's like level of consciousness, level of maturity, you get exactly what you deserve of, right? You have good karma because you've done the work, you've experienced a lot of breakups, a lot of disappointments, you had to forgive a lot. And when you're able to forgive without carrying grief or bad feelings about someone else, that's the sign right there that you are at a really high place and no one can ever take you from there. Therefore, now people have to adapt. The world will have to adapt because you are the main center. Like if you want to do this, you will do it. And that's freedom. Nobody's going to take off your freedom from you. But at times when they switch you back to another place and you become the server as opposed to the master, that can be a little agonizing. And then you find yourself, of course, and you have to fight your way back to the place where you call home. And that sometimes is a journey, right? Because you might sign up for something that you don't really know what you're getting into. You just think everything's gonna work for the greatest good of everyone else, and especially yourself. You have that vision on, and that vision might include money, career growth, and even the career growth side of things is like, okay, if we have to really open up that and expand on terms of like trying to understand what that means, you also realize that ultimately it's the spiritual growth that you're after. Like when you grow spiritually, mentally, anything you do in the physical is gonna be just like, resonating to that level of awareness, of consciousness that you are in the spiritual world. But if you haven't quite mastered that yet, then yes, you probably have to experience a lot of those energy shifts, and you have to accommodate to it, you know. At one time you find yourself like a chameleon because you're just serving that purpose of like being what they want you to be on, and relation to the energies, the entities you are linked to, until all of a sudden you unplug from everyone else, all channels that seem to be controlling you, and then you find yourself to be yourself. And when you find yourself, there's no doubt about that it's you. You don't feel like you're somebody else. Like, you know those feelings that you're like, oh my gosh, I'm being like someone else now again. Where's myself? I lost myself. Like, if you felt like that way before, probably know then what I'm talking about. It's not a good feeling, right? But that too shall pass. These too shall pass. These feelings that you're still experiencing are temporary, because we're gonna get to that place of feeling like home, connectedness. Like, no one can ever take me away from this place. It's no longer like me being the ADD person. It's just me now being what was meant to be. And I got no doubt that I am that I am. So my tip to you who has realized that there will always be energy shifts going on, and all of a sudden you might become the center of attention, and everybody's like texting you at the same time, sending cute things because they are basically serving your energy, is that don't get attached to the process. Don't try to not be dependent on those moments. Just like flow freely. The more you flow freely and detach from everything else, the deeper you'll get to that feeling of being home, of being here now. And when you feel like home, don't also settle down for it. Don't just think this is like it, I made it, because there are depths that you can experience within this place you call home. And the deeper you get, the higher you go. And that is tasty, delicious. It's like, it's ultimately what you're after. And hopefully you won't be the one who needs to keep moving around from place to place because the energy is shifting now. You just stay chill where you are, and people have to change and move for you. And I know you get there. I believe you. Kisses.